Good morning. It is 9:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Hey, how are you? What a night we had. What a week we've had. Unbelievable. It's kind of wild to really sit back for a second and let it run through you that what we've witnessed in these past 8 days, 10 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month has been nothing short of historic. We may have just lived through one of the most historic weeks in American history. And it is still going to get crazier as we head to November. 615-737-9986 is an agenda-free Friday on the Chris Hand Show. With the amount of news that we've had this past week, there is no doubt that we missed something. There is no doubt that there's a topic you wanted to weigh in on and you didn't have a chance to. So today is your day, agenda-free Friday. Call in and let me know what you think. Obviously, the lead story today is the RNC. That was fantastic last night. There were some really, really incredible moments, and none more incredible than Donald Trump getting up on stage and talking about being shot, talking about the assassination attempt. The world had been waiting to hear from Donald Trump, and we heard from him last night. And before he really gets into it, I just want to say the classiest moment, the absolute classiest moment of the evening was when he honored fallen fighter Corey Compatore during his RNC speech. He had his fire coat and helmet on the stage, represented for everyone to see. He walked over, he embraced the coat. In true Trump fashion, he gave the helmet a kiss. It was so authentic, so real, and it was just one of those moments that kind of choked you up a little bit because you realize the gravity of what we're witnessing. It was amazing.
What a fine man he was.
He's pointing at the helmet and the fire jacket. And he walks over to that. The crowd chants Corey, and he embraces the uniform. I mean, when you think about Corey Compatore and what he did as a father and a husband in his last moments on this earth, as a father and as a husband, that is the ultimate sacrifice and one any of us would be willing to do. But, you know, by the grace of God, those opportunities aren't plentiful. You know what I mean? We're very lucky that those opportunities don't happen, but we all have in the back of our mind that if something should happen, we're going to do that. Corey was the example of a man who did it.
He was a hero even before that because he was a fire chief. Like, he was a hero his whole life, and he died a hero.
And the selfless sacrifice that he did in his last act of laying across his wife and daughter, his bullets were flying, and he took the hit for them. He's an absolute hero. And he deserved to be honored. And I'm grateful that Donald Trump did it the way he did it. It was so classy. And he was up there. He was up there the entire night, standing behind Donald Trump, just like he was at that rally in Butler, PA. Just like millions of Americans are today after seeing that speech. We're standing behind Donald Trump. Just like millions of Americans after we saw the assassination attempt on Saturday, we're standing behind Donald Trump.
I started to, like this, turn to my right and was ready to begin a little bit further turn, which I'm very lucky I didn't do, when I heard a loud whizzing sound and felt something hit me really, really hard on my right ear. I said to myself, wow, what was that? It can only be a bullet. And moved my right hand to my ear, brought it down. My hand was covered with blood, just absolutely blood all over the place. I immediately knew it was very serious, that we were under attack, and in one movement proceeded to drop to the ground. Bullets were continuing to fly, as very brave Secret Service agents rushed to the stage, and they really did. They rushed to the stage. These are great people, at great risk, I will tell you, and pounced on top of me so that I would be protected.
You know, Trump said that he was going to tell that story one time and never again. He said it's too painful. It's too painful. But he said as he's down on the stage and he's looking out, he could see, he said that, you know, the people in the audience, he looked at their faces and he saw fear and terror and worry, and that they didn't know that he was looking out, you know, through the gaps in the Secret Service, between the arms, under the legs. You know, we've seen the iconic photo where he's, you know, looking down at the stage and the blood's dripping. And he said in that moment he knew he needed to let the crowd know that he was okay. And that's when he decided, I'm gonna look towards the audience and pump my fist and say, fight. It was unbelievable. And the speech, he said, you know, he wanted it to be unifying and personal. You know, these are the first public remarks since that assassination attempt. And I think he checked every box last night.
Friends, delegates, and fellow citizens, I stand before you this evening with a message of confidence, strength, and hope. 4 months from now, we will have an incredible victory, and we will begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. Together we will launch a new era of safety, prosperity, and freedom for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. The discord and division in our society must be healed. We must heal it quickly. As Americans, we are bound together by a single fate and a shared destiny. We rise together or we fall apart. I am running to be president for all of America, not half of America, because there is no victory in winning for half of America.
No, he's absolutely right. He's running for everyone. He's running for everyone. And he made some calculated moves last night. He really avoided mentioning Biden's name at all, which I thought was more than smart, because all the headlines today is that Biden isn't going to make it through Sunday. He's going to drop out. He's not going to resign the presidency, but he's not going to run for re-election. That's what all these headlines are saying. There's on my Twitter at Chris Hand on Air, there's a bet happening where they have a picture of Joe Biden, and next to it is a brand new head of lettuce, and they're seeing which one lasts longer, Joe Biden's re-election bid or the head of lettuce. So my money is on the head of lettuce lasting longer than Joe Biden at this point. But Trump was on fire last night. And this was one of my favorite lines, too.
Greatest movement in the history of our country. Make America great again. When they criticize it, they say, we're going to try and stop MAGA. I said, MAGA is making America great again. What are you going to stop? There's nothing to stop.
There's nothing to stop. And
they say, oh, that's right. It's very tough to fight it. And all of the people that did try and fight it have failed.
And they have. They've failed every step of the way. You look at what Donald Trump has been through. Impeachments, investigations, indictments, convictions. They've tried to bankrupt him and put him in jail. They tried to keep him off the ballot in many states. They did everything they could. We are officially, we have now entered the fourth quarter, okay, of the greatest political comeback in the history of America. If you think about where Donald Trump was on January 6th, 2021, and where we are today on July 19th, 2024, it is the greatest political comeback in American history. It's the greatest political comeback in American history. There were many people that doubted this man, but he didn't doubt himself. And he kept going. And I love, you've probably heard the line, the more a broken system tells you you're wrong, the more you must keep pushing forward. And that's what this man has done. He has continued to push forward. And he told us last night he will never, ever
we will not
back
break,
down.
We will not bend. We will not back down, and I will never stop fighting for you, your family, and our magnificent country. Never.
How can you do anything but take his word for this? He took a bullet last Saturday.
And everything I have to give with all of the energy and fight in my heart and soul, I pledge to our nation tonight. Thank you very much. I pledge that to our nation. We're going to turn our nation around, and we're going to do it very quickly. Thank you. This election should be about the issues facing our country and how to make America successful, safe, free, and great again. In an age when our politics too often divide us, now is the time to remember that we are all fellow citizens. We are one nation under God.
And God had a huge presence at the RNC last night. Everyone acknowledging what we all saw with our own eyes, what could only be perceived as divine intervention on Saturday in Butler, Pennsylvania. There's definitely a God thing happening in this country. Do you feel that the way I feel that? Do you feel that revival happening? Because I feel like it's been on full display. And I feel like there's this authenticity to it. I've witnessed politicians bring up God before, and I've witnessed people, do the dance and say the thing, and it feels fake and it feels forced. But last night, I didn't get that vibe at all. I really didn't. I really didn't. It felt real. It felt real. And even Trump, he said, I'm not supposed to be here tonight. And the only reason I am is because of God.
I'm not supposed to be here tonight. Not supposed to be here. Yeah.
Incredible moment.
Thank you. But I'm not. And I'll tell you, I stand before you in this arena only by the grace of Almighty God.
I mean, we've heard a lot of politicians invoke the name of God before, but last night was just different. It just felt different. And when the crowd chants back at him, "Yes, you are. Yes, you are." It was a moment. It was a moment. And he said, in closing of his speech, he said, if the events of last Saturday make anything clear, is that all these moments are gifts.
But if the events of last Saturday make anything clear, it is that every single moment we have on earth is a gift from God.
Yep.
We have to make the most of every day for the people and for the country that we love. The attacker in Pennsylvania wanted to stop our movement, but the truth is the movement has never been about me. It has always been about you. It's your movement. It's the biggest movement in the history of our country by far.
And the movement continues. The movement continues. It was an incredible night. It was an incredible week at the RNC. Even the mainstream media pundits on the left acknowledge how powerful this moment was. Van Jones of all people, saying that it reminds him of 2008 Obama as he's talking to Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings is the Republican on CNN, the Republican strategist, analyst, whatever title they have for him. But Scott Jennings has been on fire recently, actually. Big fan of what he does on CNN. And he's talking to him. He's like, you look at Scott and you would think Scott's drinking because he's in such a good mood, but it's because that's the vibe here for conservatives.
This spirit that this guy has, you guys think this because he's drunk? He's not. This whole thing is like this. And Look,
Yeah, he's
hey, listen.
drunk on the
Hey,
protest
guys.
tonight.
The last time I was in a convention that felt like this was Obama 2008. There's something happening.
There's something happening here. And we are more unified than we've been as conservatives since September 12th, 2001. We are more unified as a Republican Party than I feel like I've seen in my adult life. And I'm watching this in real time unfold, and it just feels good, man. So take a day and really enjoy this, okay? And then understand that there's 4 months to go. 4 months to go. We don't even know who we're running against yet. Do you understand that? We don't know who our opponent is on the Democrat ticket, which is wild. They tell us that we're threats to democracy. Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. Yet here they are. They're not even going to let the people that vote for them decide their candidate. Who's the threat to democracy? We're going to cover all the Biden drama. Plus, I have more audio from the RNC last night. Some of the most incredible speeches were Tucker Carlson and Eric Trump. I got audio from both. Hang out with us. It's 9:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at Paul Winkler, Inc. You know Paul. I know Paul. Hey, set a reminder. Tomorrow, he's hosting the Investor Coaching Show on WTN from 3 to 6. Before I got my show here, I really made it a point to listen to that show. My wife and I did, because we wanted to be financially stable in the future, right? We want to be able to retire. We want to be able to take care of our kids and have fun with our grandkids someday, God willing. And you have to have your money in order. So we didn't really know where to start. We would listen to Paul's show. We felt like that's a good place to start. And then when I got my show here, I was like, well, now I want to work with Paul, because let's get that ball rolling. And once I met Paul and broke bread with him, I realized he's the same guy that you hear on the show. He's honest. He's smart. He knows what he's talking about. And best of all, for me, he can break it down for a guy like me in a way that I can understand. And he can do the exact same thing for you. In fact, Paul and his entire team really focus on education. That's their main motive when you work with Paul and his team. And the team is fantastic. They do nothing on commission, and they hold themselves to the highest level of fiduciary status. Because of that, Paul wants to make sure I tell you I get paid to do these commercials. He wants the honesty. He wants the transparency, and that's fair, but I don't get paid to be a client. I'm a client because of how much I trust Paul and how much he's educated me every step of the way. They always say that they want to make you relax about your money, and that's what Paul's done for me and my family. He can do the exact same thing for you, but it starts by setting up a 15-minute phone call. I suggest you do this today. Go to paulwinkler.com. Every day you wait is another day it's going to take for you to get your financial future on the right path. Set up your 15-minute phone call right now, paulwinkler.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Populations of animals. I mean, think about the white-tailed deer and how when Ed started, and maybe even before Ed a little bit, they started, working to bring these populations back. And now we have these sustainable populations that we can hunt.
Yeah.
The story of the eastern wild turkey and what's happening with turkeys. So I would consider all these things great successes. The conservation efforts that have been worked on by the personnel for years. I would think that it's a great success story for our state.
You're going to see some footage from an old film that was produced here at the agency in the Game and Fish days, and which shows some things like, the wife taking care of the animal that the officer, the husband, had to bring home to take care of, because they got a call, and times have changed. Now we have the rehabilitators that help out with that kind of thing. And
thank goodness. We got to be really good friends with some of those little animals. And my first commission in 1972.
Okay, yeah.
At that time, it was a little different. The whole law enforcement world was different then. So anyway, we got the first commission in 1972 and worked all over the state. It was really great to be able to do that. Pretty much, you had one uniform. And I noticed in the movie too, everybody wearing ties. For years and years, you had to. If you wore a long sleeve shirt, you had to wear a tie. It didn't matter if you were doing enforcement or sailing a pond or whatever you were doing. You had that tie on.
Oh wow!
And then everybody looked forward. There was one date, and it kind of moved. But generally around April the 1st, you switched from long sleeves to short sleeves, and you didn't have to wear a tie. And everybody's going, "Come on, April 1st."
A massive Microsoft outage that's impacting businesses around the world, and a fatal bicycle accident in Murfreesboro. We'll have those stories at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay. It's 9:29 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. On the way, we have tons more audio from the RNC, including Tucker Carlson. Tucker talking about Donald Trump was just unreal.
Being a leader is very different. It's not a title. It's organic. You can't name someone a leader. A leader is the bravest man. That's who the leader is. That is true in all human organizations. This is a law of nature. And in that moment, Donald Trump, months before the presidential election, became the leader of this nation. That was the most obvious to me. And I have to say, I think it changed him.
It sure seemed to change him last night when he hit the stage and gave that incredible speech. I have more audio from the RNC, plus Josh Hawley says when it comes to the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, whistleblowers are starting to step forward. I'll let you know what they have to say as well. Plus your phone calls at 615-737-9986. It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 9:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We're looking at clouds and sun, 76 degrees. A full forecast is on the way. A massive Microsoft outage impacting businesses all around the globe, taking some companies temporarily offline and forcing major American airlines to ground flights. Microsoft saying there were issues with cloud services and various Microsoft 365 apps. Cybersecurity agency CrowdStrike says it has identified the issue behind the outage and they're working on it, and that it is not because of a security issue or a cyber attack. Here's former FBI agent and ABC News contributor Brad Garrett with a concern.
My immediate thought when I heard this was this some sort of test run by a foreign actor that doesn't like us, like Russia, China? Now, obviously, I don't know if any of that's true. I'm only suggesting we aren't really to the bottom of this, in my view, as to what it is, but we just are vulnerable.
Here in Middle Tennessee, Channel 4 reporting that a Murfreesboro bicyclist struck by a vehicle that left the scene of the accident on South Rutherford Boulevard in Murfreesboro last evening has died. Police said the bicyclist was struck by a vehicle about 5:30 p.m. last night near the Walmart on South Rutherford Boulevard in Murfreesboro. The driver of the vehicle took off. The vehicle, though, was found, and the driver was tracked down and is now in custody with charges pending. No identities have been released as of yet. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Thank you, Jay. It's 9:32 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Got to tell you about my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. If your AC is not working the way it should be, you're feeling it, the heat is going nowhere, what are you going to do? Well, you call my friends at Busy Bee. Because otherwise, you're just waiting for a problem to pop up in this heat, and you don't want to do that. You want to keep your unit in tip-top shape, tippy-toppy, as 45 likes to say. Whether you're waiting and you need that annual maintenance, or you need to repair something, or, gosh forbid, you actually have to replace your AC unit right now, you need to call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, especially if you need to replace it. You won't find a better value on replacement systems. Busy Bee will offer up to 12 months with no payment, no interest, with approved credit, and it'll pay in so many ways to sign up to become a Beehive Club member. I've been saying this for a while. You're running out of time all July long. When you buy one Beehive Club membership, you get one free for a neighbor in your community. BOGO on Beehive Club memberships. Buy one, get one. Either be a great neighbor and get one for your neighbor for free, or go in half. Either way, it's a fantastic deal because it's only $99 for your Beehive Club membership, and you get 3 annual tune-ups, one for your heating, one for your cooling, one for your plumbing, 10% discount on repairs, priority front-of-the-line service. I know firsthand how important that is. And you get a $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000. No overtime or holiday fees, plus exclusive Beehive member promotions. That's Busy Bee, your Rude Pro partner. Again, those Beehive Club memberships are BOGO for you and a neighbor all July long. For satisfaction guarantee, just call Busy Bee, 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833. Online at busybeehvac.com.
when he stood up after being shot in the face, bloodied, and put his hand up, I thought at that moment, that was a transformation. This was no longer a man. Well, I think it was divine intervention. But the effect that it had on Donald Trump, he was no longer just a political party's nominee or a former president or a future president. This was the leader of a nation. And I think there's a difference. I've spent most of my life in Washington, where the president is at the top of the pyramid. Everyone wants to be the president. But if you think about it, the presidency comes with great power, obviously. But if you think about it, that is a title that is bestowed by a process of some sort that can be subverted. And in the end, it does not confer by itself, as no title does, legitimacy. Just because you call yourself the president doesn't mean that much inherently. I can call my dog the CEO of Hewlett-Packard. It doesn't mean she is. No, it's true. And you hate to say it, but it is also true, as a fact, that you could take, a mannequin, a dead person, and make him president. No, you could. I'm just saying theoretically possible. With enough cheating, that could happen.
That's Tucker Carlson at the RNC last night, 9:40 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, taking subtle jabs at Joe Biden. I don't know. Would you call that a subtle jab? It might have been a haymaker.
That song goes so well with that, because it's a song where they put on the meme where they put the glasses on and they join the guy's mouth. Same kind of feel.
It was so good. But Tucker is fantastic, as he always is. I've had the pleasure of meeting Tucker and working with him a little bit, and I've had the pleasure of seeing him speak a few times now, and every single time it's a treat, and he's captivating, and it's because he's authentic. And I feel like in America right now, one of the rarest commodities is authenticity. But for some reason in the Conservative Party, it feels like we have it in abundance when it comes to some leadership that we have, and then thought leaders like this guy. We have that authenticity, and people really respond to it. And he talks about Donald Trump and how the left calls him an enemy of democracy, and how that's not really the case.
A leader's duty is to his people, to his country, and to no other. That's the point. That's the only point. And another word for this is democracy. Democracy, in case you're a little sick of being beaten in the face with democracy on television, actual democracy is the proposition that the citizens of a country own that country. They're not renters, they're not serfs, they're not slaves, they are the owners of the country.
Amen.
And for that to be true, their leaders have to represent them, which is another way of saying they have to do what the people want them to do, or a close approximation thereof. But if they completely ignore what people want, not just 1 year, but generationally, say for 50 years, then it may be, I don't know what, it's not a democracy.
And that's where we've been in this country for the last 50 or so years. The American citizens have taken a back seat to just about everything else.
And so I think the entire Trump project, paradoxically, is attacked as an enemy of democracy, is to return democracy to the United States. Hey, let's pay attention to what people actually want. And the lack of interest in that question in Washington is something that ultimately drove me out of the city after 35 years.
No, and the people in Washington don't care what you want. That's the biggest issue. That's the biggest issue. Steve in Mount Juliet, your thoughts on the RNC?
Good morning.
How we doing, brother?
I am fired up and pumped up and excited as I can be. I enjoyed President Trump's speech last night. He was spot on. I think the tone and demeanor he set will bring in lots of independents and probably some Democrats as well. Another one of my favorite lines from the RNC this week was the comment about the White House is being run like Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, honestly.
Yep.
Yeah, yep. And we can see that on full display. Thanks for the call, Steve. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the show. To Steve's point, you know, how we're looking at the RNC and we're fired up, and he said that Trump and his tone is bringing in independence. Well, yeah, I think Steve nailed it, because last night after they go off the air on CNN, they have undecided voters reacting to President Trump's speech. And these undecided voters on CNN, they gave it the same score Steve and Mount Juliet just did.
The grade you gave it?
I gave it an A.
And why'd you give it an A?
The thing I was looking for was a change, and I felt I heard that change in his voice. I was looking for his discussion on getting unity together in the country, as well as the border control and inflation.
Yeah, and Trump hit all those points. And so did everybody that went out there to support Trump. And they did a great job all weekend long of humanizing Donald Trump and humanizing the Republican Party, and Tucker did that as well.
Donald Trump, whatever you say about him, and I think he's a wonderful person. I know him well. By the way, the funniest person I've ever met in my life, actually. You can't be funny without perspective.
Yep.
Or without empathy, which is true. But everything else about Trump aside, he actually cares. Because he's interested in the people who live here, because that's his job. A father's job, his duty is to his family. An officer's duty is to his men. A president's duty is to his citizens.
Yep. And Donald Trump puts the citizens of this country first. Donald Trump puts the citizens of this country first. And the left can't pull crowds like we can on the right. They just can't. Do you really think that where you're going to see a crowd as energized and upbeat in a couple weeks at the DNC? I mean, listen to this crowd.
So fun! Thank you!
Everybody's fired up. Everybody's having fun.
This is wild.
Everybody's smiling. All night long, people are dancing in the crowd. The band that was on the stage, they would pan through the crowd, and people are dancing in between the speeches. The energy was unbelievable. And one of the most beautiful things about Tucker Carlson being on the RNC is that Fox News was covering it. Okay? And Tucker, his speech was at the exact same time of his old time slot. So Tucker was back on Fox.
Think that was planned?
Where he should be. It may have been. It was.
There was probably some thought of this time, this is probably when he would be on.
It seemed strategic, and I loved it. I loved it. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I think they did that on purpose. Let's go to Rick, who wants to talk about Trump. Rick, you're up next on Super Talk. What's up, man?
Good morning, Chris.
How we doing?
Great show as usual.
Thank you, sir.
Tucker's comment on the dead man in the White House. My friend, that was not a subtle jab at Biden. That was a Mike Tyson knockout. And I tell you this, after listening to Mr. Biden last night, it has only enhanced my desire to see Mount Toughmore erected.
Yo, we got to get Mount Toughmore, Rick. We're going to start a GoFundMe pretty soon. We're going to have to.
And I tell you where it needs to be built. It needs to be erected as one of the majestic peaks of the Smoky Mountains in East Tennessee.
Let's do it, Rick. Let's get this movement started. Rick, and thanks for the call, Rick. Rick has been starting a petition for a Mount Toughmore in Tennessee, a la Mount Rushmore, except with the toughest presidents. So it'd be Theodore Roosevelt, Andrew Jackson, Reagan, Trump. Brent in Spring Hill, your thoughts on the RNC? What's up, Brent?
Hey, man, I watched the whole convention, and I watched it with people, and I had to keep telling them, man, I can't hardly watch this because they're trying to make this middle-aged man cry in front of y'all. Because, so many emotional testimonies were given, and you get that, where you start feeling, kind of choked up, and your eyes start welling a little bit, and you're like, wow, they need to stop trying to make me cry.
Yeah. I mean, there were moments there where it was like I was holding back tears myself, man. And especially last night, I'll be honest, not last night, the night before got me, and I appreciate your call, Brent. The night before, night 3, got me a little bit more than last night when you had Kai Trump and Gold Star families and the World War II veteran. It was unbelievable. Last night they had Hulk Hogan.
That was crazy.
It was wild. I will say this about the Hulkster. I thought there was a missed opportunity. He did this interview on Fox earlier in the day, and he talks about how he was scared to come out as a Trump supporter. And I thought that this would have been a much more powerful moment if he came out as Terry Bollea as opposed to Hulk Hogan and gave the speech from that perspective as an entertainer. And he sort of dabbled in it, but I was waiting for him to go all the way in, because when I heard him in this Fox interview talking, I kind of got the feeling that that's what he was going to do. And maybe I built it up in my own head, so I kind of ruined it for myself. But listen to Hogan in this Fox interview from earlier in the day.
I saw your post. You said on Facebook, today's events in Butler are deeply disturbing. No president, past or present, should face a death. Horrific act. Our thoughts and prayers are with President Trump. Law enforcement, the Secret Service bravely protect and uphold our shared values. You posted that picture, which now is iconic and really indelible. What does it mean to you? You know, that image of President Trump kind of sticking his fist in the air.
Well, it rattled me to my core when this happened. And when I saw him stand up with that fist in the air and the blood on his face as a warrior, as a leader, I realized that's what America needs. I knew it all along. I was just afraid to speak out. But when I saw that, it just made me realize that is the leader that this country needs to get back on track.
And I respect the hell out of him for saying he was afraid to speak up. I really do, because millions of Americans feel that way. And I thought that the opportunity was missed, because you have this man who is gigantic and strong, and you look at him and you think he wouldn't be afraid of anything, but he was afraid of being canceled, and he was afraid of backlash for supporting Trump. And so many Americans share that story. Like, I'll raise my hand. Me and my wife had these conversations before I got involved here, before I got involved with Turning Point USA, where she's working for a major record company, and it's like, what's going to happen to us if we start speaking out? This isn't an isolated incident. This has been happening to millions of Americans for what? Years now, since 2015, where you're fearful that you're going to get canceled for supporting somebody that just wants the best for the country. And I felt like that was a message that should have been done. And he said it again here during the interview with Brett Baer.
Did you ever think about getting into politics?
I thought about it. I thought about it several times.
I mean, you got Jesse Ventura was in Minnesota.
Right.
What prevented you?
Well, I was afraid to speak out, so I was really afraid to get into politics. But
again, I was afraid to speak out.
Wasn't he actually having a campaign for president like the late 90s?
I think that was just a wrestling angle.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't actually. He actually left WCW for a bit and then came back and then won the title.
I think that
I'm going to look this up. I think there was a smidgen of it.
No, that was just an angle. But I think that they missed an opportunity. Hulk did, to really speak from the heart about why he was afraid. But I mean, it's hard to argue with what he did, because he did speak to a lot of people. He did get the crowd fired up, and it was awesome. However, the best speech of the night, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, it wasn't Donald Trump. It wasn't Tucker Carlson. It was Eric Trump. And I saw the speech from Eric Trump last night, and I'd love to get your reaction on it, 615-737-9986. I looked at Eric Trump, and I said, that could be a future president. That could be a future president. And we'll play all the relevant audio from Eric Trump after the break. It's 9:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
A worldwide massive Microsoft outage still impacting businesses worldwide. President Biden continues to face pressure to suspend his campaign, and bitter news for a beer brand that continues to go flat. We'll have those stories at 10 a.m. on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Heck of a tease on the beer brand, Jay Harper. I like that.
Oh, you like that one?
Yeah, it was smooth.
Yeah, I come up with them occasionally.
I like it. All right, it's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Jay Harper's newscast on the way, plus audio of Eric Trump, who I thought was one of the breakouts at the RNC. What did you think? Let's go to Rick in Nashville real quick. Rick, we got about 30 seconds. Your thoughts on Trump at the RNC?
Hey, Chris, I just wanted to say he got humanized last night. I'm a grandfather. And when that little blonde-headed girl came out, went straight to her granddaddy, hugged him, kissed him, climbed up in his lap, and sat there. And Trump, it was so natural. It's just like what my grandkid does.
Man.
And it just showed me that's something that happens all the time. You can't fake kids.
No, you can't. You can't.
And that made me, he's a granddaddy, and he's a daddy. And so I believe him now.
I'm with you, Rick. And, you know, J.D. Vance had said when he was getting, after the East Palestine train crash, he said that he spoke to the Trump campaign and said, we need more moments like that where people can see Trump the way we see Trump. And they excelled at that. They excelled at that all week long. Eric Trump, his audio from the RNC, up after Jay Harper's newscast, which starts right now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's 10 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A mix of clouds and sun, 77 degrees. A weather forecast for your weekend is on the way. A massive Microsoft outage impacting businesses around the world, taking some companies temporarily offline and forcing major airlines to ground some flights. Microsoft saying there were issues with cloud services and various Microsoft 365 apps. Cybersecurity agency CrowdStrike says it has identified the issue behind the outage and they're working on it, and that it is not, as they say, because of a security issue or a cyber attack. Here is former FBI agent and ABC News contributor Brad Garrett weighing in.
This is a great example of how vulnerable the system really is. If CrowdStrike is being forthwith about what they think they found, it's basically a corrupted patch. You know, we get patches every day to fix malware from trying to get through our firewall.
Now getting back to the election 2024, President Biden recovering from COVID at his Delaware home as he faces escalating pressure from senior Democrats to drop out of the race and make way for a new nominee. ABC's Mary Bruce, she's on the scene with the president in Delaware.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi all directly and bluntly sharing Democrats' concerns that if Biden stays at the top of the ticket, he could drag down Democrats in the House and Senate.
And finally, Bud Light, once the nation's most popular beer, now the number 3 brand in the country following the boycott over its Dylan Mulvaney ad partnership. Modelo Especial, the Mexican import, now number 1, accounting for 9.7% of beer dollar sales in the U.S. in the stores in the 4 weeks that ended July 6th. That's according to Nielsen IQ data. Michelob Ultra coming in at second place with 7.3% of beer sales. Before April of last year, Bud Light well ahead of rivals Modelo Especial as well as Michelob Ultra and Molson Coors-owned Coors Light in holding market share in the U.S. So Bud Light still yet to recover. Perhaps they never will. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
It's 10:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You heard in the intro, classic Reagan quote. Government is the problem. Yeah, I mean, the government we currently have is, but it looks like the government we're moving towards could be the solution. We got 4 months left to go. The RNC was fantastic this week. The energy was high. People were happy. We were more unified as the Republican Party than we have been in years. And I love to see it. I also love to see, in the meantime, the Democrats are falling apart. The White House is denying reports that Biden and the family are talking about exits. But all the reporting seems to point that one way or another, Joe Biden is not going to be the candidate. It seemed like even the Trump campaign really kind of thinks that. They went above and beyond to not even mention Joe Biden last night, which I think was strategic and solid because you don't know if that's who you're going to be running against. And all indicators point to that being someone else that Trump has to run against.
Kamala? Is it Kamala? Like, I honestly have no idea anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're going to find out. We'll find out. And we're going to get into all that here in a little bit. But when you look at the bench of the Democrat Party, that's where the questions come from because who's going to step up? I mean, sure, you got some people, right? Gavin Newsom, but he's ruined California. Gretchen Whitmer, meh. Wes Moore, 4 months to get name recognition and the American people introduced to somebody. I don't see it happening. I think that Kamala makes the most sense because you just want to put the L on her and get her out of the way for 2028. But then on the flip side, when you look at the Republican side, man, we got a bench. We got a roster. We got young, up-and-coming talent. We got Josh Hawley. We have Vivek Ramaswamy. We have J.D. Vance. And I look at Eric Trump after his speech last night, and I look at a guy that I say, this guy could be president.
Thank you. My father stands before you with the most votes of any Republican candidate in the history of our nation. He has defied the predictions of every political pundit. He fills stadiums across our country. He energizes Americans to the issues facing this nation and does so with unvarnished honesty. He is not a threat to democracy. He is a threat to those who despise our republic.
Amen.
Many of whom are bought and sold, bribed and coerced, people who have never signed the front of a check and who have been dependent on the government their entire adult lives.
I mean, I loved watching this, and I'm sitting there with my daughter, Kennedy, and this was a speech where I was like really excited for her to see. I was really excited for her to see Tucker, but when Eric Trump came up, I'll be honest with you, I didn't have any expectations. I had no expectations, and he blew me out of the water, man. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable, and he hit on all the things that people care about. He's talking about men and women's sports and how this is ridiculous.
Male athletes, guys my height, 6'5", are swimming in women's sports. Destroying the dreams of young girls who have trained every minute of their lives. We no longer trust our elections. We no longer trust our judicial system. And we no longer believe that our government is working in our best interest.
No, we don't.
Also shows how tall that family is.
The family.
They're all huge.
Very tall. But he points out, at this point in time, after everything his father has been through, he's never been more proud to be a Trump.
As his son, I've never been more proud in my life. A man who has defied all odds more than once. A man who believed in the promise of America when others turned away. A man who saw a nation in need of a champion and answered that call with unwavering determination and courage. A man who survived a bullet that was intended to eliminate him permanently from our future and from our family.
Yep.
Never have I been more proud to be a Trump.
And he's hitting all the points. He's nailing everything, and he's talking about his father's assassination attempt.
Dad, 5 days ago, Laura, Luke, Carolina, and I held our breath as we saw blood pour across your face. By the grace of God, divine intervention, and your guardian angels above, you survived.
And during this entire speech, on the lap of Donald Trump is his granddaughter, the daughter of Eric Trump.
You are the greatest fighter I have ever seen. You are strong, you are full of life, and you are unapologetic. Your optimism is contagious. Your backbone is unbreakable. Your conviction to fight for what is right and against all that is wrong is truly next level.
And he gives a fantastic speech, and he's fantastic talking about his father. And you think, wow, this is a great, great job, telling people about the next president of the United States. But he keeps going. He keeps going. And there was a moment where I said, this speech just changed, and it's not just about Donald Trump being president. I think Eric Trump could be president one day, and it's when he reached out and addressed the American people and apologized for what's been happening. And it was such a real moment. I can't remember a politician apologizing in my lifetime. When's the last time you've heard a politician speak like this?
In spite of where we are today as a nation, I'd like to speak to every American. To the homeless veteran sleeping under a bridge as illegal immigrants are housed in the most expensive hotels in New York. I'm sorry. We know it's wrong, and we will fix it.
I'm sorry. We know it's wrong, and we will fix it. When he said those words, I was taken aback because you know it's wrong. I know it's wrong. But when have we heard someone say it so well? And not just say it, but apologize. And then promise to fix it.
I'm sorry. We know it's wrong, and we will fix it.
And I thought, wow, that's a fantastic message. But he didn't stop there. He kept going.
To the single mother who can no longer afford her rent, afford groceries, and has been forced to work 3 jobs, I'm sorry. It does not have to be this way. To the parents who lost a son or daughter to fentanyl, including the incredible woman that spoke the other night, while an administration does absolutely nothing. I'm sorry. Your government can do so much better, and it will.
So powerful. So powerful.
To the children who are being brainwashed instead of learning the fundamentals of school, I'm sorry. There are teachers who care, and my father will empower them.
And even that line, he didn't trash teachers. He emboldened them.
To the law enforcement officers, our brave Border Patrol, Secret Service agents who work every single day to protect our communities, knowing damn well that the system will throw you under the bus.
Yes.
I'm sorry. We will stand behind you.
And when he says that, the American people believe it because it's true.
To commuters often petrified to take a bus, take a train, or walk the streets in cities across our nation, I'm sorry. That man right there will fix this.
Unbelievable.
To the construction workers, to the middle-class families, to the families with children with disabilities, families who can no longer afford medical benefits or to take a vacation, I'm sorry. We will make America great again.
He hits every group. He just nailed it. Nailed it.
And to my father, who has been ruthlessly silenced, slandered, and attacked by a corrupt administration, I'm sorry. We know, and America knows, that they're not just after you, they're after all of us, and you just happen to be standing in their way.
That was easily, for me, that was the biggest takeaway from the entire RNC, was right there with Eric Trump and listening to him speak to his father and to the American people. And I'm sitting there and I'm just, my mouth was open, because these are words that you and I know are true, but that we don't hear our leaders speak. And they said it last night, and they apologized, and they said they're going to fix it. And I can't think of another leader who I believe will fix it faster than Donald Trump. I believe that they're going to fix it. I honestly, truly do. And I think that they're going to fix it because I honestly, truly believe that they care. And I don't know how many of our elected officials do. But as Eric Trump gave that speech last night, I thought to myself, this is 2028. This is like that Obama in 06 moment when people went, that's interesting. I could get behind someone like that. That's what we saw last night with Eric Trump. And it just hits. It hits so hard, man. We've talked about it on this show ad nauseum, how disgusting it is in this country that our veterans are homeless when they've been willing to give everything for this country. And we do nothing in return. We have illegal aliens that cut the line in the VA under this current regime. We have illegal aliens pouring into our country across our wide open southern border. And we don't even get anything from the current leadership. We get told that we're seeing things, that we're conspiracy theorists, that everything is fine. Calm down. But to get an apology? That was a game changer. I want to listen to it again.
In spite of where we are today as a nation, I'd like to speak to every American. To the homeless veteran sleeping under a bridge as illegal immigrants are housed in the most expensive hotels in New York. I'm sorry. We know it's wrong, and we will fix it.
I'm sorry. We know it's wrong, and we will fix it. Wow. Wow. I think that we just witnessed the birth of a future leader last night with Eric Trump's speech. I've never heard a politician talk like that on the stage. And when you look at this family and how much they're on stage honoring God and thanking God for sparing Donald Trump's life, and their values are aligning with the values of middle America, everyday, regular folks who just want a chance to work and live and create a future for their family, or be able to create a family in this current economic climate. Who do you trust more? Who do you trust more? These guys or whoever the left decides to run against Trump? My money's on these guys. And I'm gonna stick with this team. The team who looks left and looks right, and they realize there's something very wrong in this country, and they're gonna fix it. I loved Eric Trump's speech. I really did. I thought it was one of the biggest moments of that entire week, and I didn't want it to be missed. And I want you to take it to the bank when I tell you I truly believe Eric Trump is going to be president someday. And when you look at the people around him, his wife, Laura, I mean, they're built to do it. And when you look at the reserves that we have on the bench as conservatives, I think we're setting ourselves up for a really, really great comeback. It's 10:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at the Glock Store. You know the guys at the Glock Store. Have you been there yet? If you haven't, why not? I mean, the Glock Store is your go-to spot for all things Glocks, performance parts, and handguns, and training. Now, this is where I do my training. This is where I do my shopping, and it's because they're amazing. When you go to the Glock Store, you're going to get people that really know what they're talking about, that can really help you evaluate and choose your personal firearms. They're going to be friendly the entire time. They're going to be professional, and most of all, they're going to be knowledgeable. That's exactly what you get at the Glock Store. I mean, in the back of the store, they have an entire counter that looks like a Genius bar at the Mac stores where they're going to answer all of your questions about guns. I like that. I think you're going to like it too. And when you want to practice shooting, do what I do. Practice in the Shoot 270 indoor ranges. That's where I practice to protect myself, my family, my home, in a private shooting room with a trained professional instructor, not in a lane next to who knows who, being trained by myself. I do it with an instructor. So really, why would you go anywhere else? Stop by the Glock Store. Talk to the people. Check out the shooting rooms. You won't be disappointed once you discover the Glock Store. It's going to be your new favorite place as well. It's the Glock Store. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Well, of course, the RNC is in the books, and we'll have some delicate reactions to all the goings-on. Also, computer systems at hospitals, airlines, broadcasters, even 911 operations have all been thrown into chaos this morning. We'll discover and give you some more info on what you can expect at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay. It's 10:26 currently on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on air. Most of the time, anything I'm talking about on the air will be on my Twitter feed. So articles, memes, videos, it's always there. So hit the follow button. I will follow back. It's also an agenda-free Friday. I know we've kind of been covering the RNC a bit and playing some audio from the speeches, but this past week has been so insane that we've missed some things. We had to have. I mean, I only get 3 hours a day. I would like more. I would do more. But I get 3 hours a day. And with this past week, with this news cycle, there's something that you wanted to weigh in on that you didn't have an opportunity to, or something we missed that you think we need to discuss. 615-737-9986. My man Gary has been waiting on hold for a second. I appreciate you holding, Gary. What do you want to talk about?
Well, Chris, thank you, and I appreciate every time you let me on, but I've got a contemplative comment to make. Okay. There were several times in my military career, and I've been retired since 96, and I went in 1971 and then went to college, so I was enlisted and commissioned. But there were a number of times, but there's 3 times specifically where I have said to myself, I shouldn't be here. And I've told friends I shouldn't be here. And when I, kept hearing that from President Trump, I got to thinking about the look in his face afterward and then at the RNC convention. That look in his face is the I shouldn't be here look. And it does humble you. You begin to realize, and I've watched even fellow Marines get killed, but when it's you, your mortality is stamped on you right away.
Yep.
And you do get humble, and you get almost like soft in the heart or softer. And if you still operate with the exterior tough, you got to do that. And also that defiance, with the fist, fight.
Yep.
The real reaction, and he's had no military training, but the real reaction is he's thinking about everybody else except him, and that is the nature of the Band of Brothers.
Yep.
You don't think about you think about everybody else, and you can't let them down. So he's showing real humanity by standing up, and I'm in the way, and they're trying to kill me, and they're not, they didn't. And I shouldn't be here, but I am here, but for the grace of God.
Yep.
That's what I wanted to offer here. A lot of veterans know that, and he now knows.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to say.
I think you hit the nail on the head, Gary. I think that you're absolutely right. And the moment where he says, I shouldn't be here, and the crowd says, yes, you are. Yes, you are. It is a moment that's going to live in my memory forever. Forever.
I'm not supposed to be here tonight. Not supposed to be here. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Unbelievable. It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning and happy Friday. Yes, it is 10:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Partly sunny. We're up to 79 degrees now. A complete weekend weather forecast is on the way. The Republican National Convention is in the books, having wrapped up with last night's acceptance speech from the party's presidential nominee. ABC's Jim Ryan, he's been in Milwaukee.
Just 5 days later, Donald Trump described the moment he nearly lost his life.
And you'll never hear it from me a second time because it's actually too painful to tell.
Among those in the convention hall,
after everything that happened to him, it was amazing to see him stand up and give the message that he gave tonight.
leaving town is being complicated by computer issues at the major airlines.
Yes, he is correct. Computer systems at hospitals, airlines, even some radio stations, as well as 911 operations, all thrown into chaos this morning after an outage tied to cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike. ABC's Mike Dubusky has what the company is now saying.
In a post on Reddit, CrowdStrike says it's investigating the cause of widespread issues on Windows devices. Those computers are caught in a boot loop in which the computer starts up but never logs in. It's related to a software update CrowdStrike recently sent out. As a workaround, CrowdStrike recommends starting your computer in safe mode, which can be done by holding down the shift key, pressing the power button, and then selecting restart. It then instructs users to delete the update file.
Mac users and Linux users have reportedly not been affected by all this. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
In spite of where we are today as a nation, I'd like to speak to every American. To the homeless veteran, sleeping under a bridge as illegal immigrants are housed in the most expensive hotels in New York. I'm sorry. We know it's wrong, and we will fix it.
That was Eric Trump last night. I could listen to that I'm sorry portion of his speech 100 times, and it won't get old. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. When I heard that speech from Eric Trump, I said that's a future president. I mean it. I mean it. Who's going to be the future nominee on the Democrat side? No idea. No idea. But people are talking about it. People are talking about it. We'll get to some relevant audio from Chuck Todd and Kristen Welker. But first, Carrie in Spring Hill has a comment on the Trump speech. What's up, Carrie?
Hey, good morning, Chris. How are you, man? I'm so upset this morning, and I have never called a radio show before. But
tell me why you're upset.
I was sitting at my local bar down in Spring Hill, and I was sitting there next to a retired firefighter. Former President Trump came on and was speaking on the television, and we asked the bartender to please turn on the audio. There were about 12 people in the bar, and they agreed, and they turned it on, and we all started listening to President Trump speak. And as you know, it was pretty emotional. About 5 minutes into his speech, the manager of that bar got wind that we were watching the Trump speech in the bar, and she called and had them turn it off because she said it was too political.
Really?
In the middle of it. There were 12 of us. Nobody was complaining. We were just sitting there watching. And they shut it off.
That's wild, dude.
I just feel like that maybe kind of speaks to that greater issue that we're all kind of dealing with, and just people just not wanting to open up and talk and listen.
No, I think you're right. And, people are just like putting their hands over their ears going, I don't want to hear you, And yeah. I think they're reaching a breaking point where they just don't want to admit they were wrong. And these same...
I suppose that's it. It's an ego.
These are the same people who tried to mask our kids during COVID. These are the same people who wanted us to travel with a vaccine passport. These are the same people who said, if we don't get vaccinated, we're going to kill our grandmothers. Like that. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
It is, man. Well, I'm done with it, man. I will never go to that establishment again.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
I appreciate you, brother.
Hey, thanks for sharing that, Carrie. 1744 on the Members Nutrition text line said, well, it's her bar, freedom of speech. Well, he said it was the manager. It was the manager. A lot of people are asking me to say the name of the bar so that way they can boycott it. I don't know. I should have asked him. Should I have asked him? I probably should have asked him. Carrie, if you're still listening, text me the name of the bar. We can blast him. Chuck Todd and Kristen Welker spent some time last night talking about Biden, who, much like that bar last night, didn't really want to listen to the Trump speech. Joe Biden doesn't want to listen to his advisors either. He doesn't want to listen to Obama. He doesn't want to listen to Pelosi. He doesn't want to listen to Schumer. He doesn't want to listen to John Tester. He just wants to listen to his family, and he's off with his family now in Rehoboth Beach. He got the vid, so he's down for the count. Bullet can't stop Trump. Virus can stop Biden. And Chuck Todd and Kristen Welker were talking last night, and they said, this is what we're dealing with Joe Biden. Well, it's a thing called inevitability. And the fact of the matter is, it's inevitable that one way or another, we're going to have a different person running for president in 2024 on the Democrat side.
I think now it's impossible for Biden to stay in, even if he wants to stay in, because there's too many Democrats on the record saying he needs to get out. They question whether he can serve another term. How do they suddenly put that toothpaste back in the tube? Let's say they do it, and you try to put Biden out there. How do these people answer the question in their own political debates, in their own interviews with local television and with bloggers and with podcasts and with regular voters? They're sitting here right now, basically, the leaders of the Democratic Party making the case to the country, this man cannot serve another 4 years. Hard stop. By the way, we don't think he can win, but many of them are simply saying he can't serve another 4 years. How do they flip that? So at this point, essentially, he's been forced off, because I don't think we're getting to the point where I don't think he can win the nomination with his own delegates. Okay, he's losing control of that process too. So
I love it when Chuck Todd said, at this point, I don't think he can win. He's going to lose his own delegates. And Kristen Welker just goes,
I'm not going to get into his head, but this is going to be Hunter. There's only Hunter Biden and Joe Biden left to tell him it's pretty clear to me that many of the non-relatives have come to a certain conclusion. people with the last name of Biden have not.
Yeah, well, Hunter Biden is the smartest man he knows.
I was about to say, Hunter Biden is the last one left?
Hunter and Jill. Who could have guessed that it would be Hunter and Jill telling him to stay in the presidential race? Who saw that coming? So Hunter and Jill, that's all he's got left. And you know, if he's going to drop out of the race, he said time and time again, that decision's going to be made with family. It's going to be made with family. Well, where is he right now?
He's at home. He's in Rehoboth. All the family's there. So, you know, is it this weekend? But this is unsustainable, and now his campaign is unwinnable.
Unsustainable and unwinnable, says Chuck Todd of NBC. Unsustainable and unwinnable. And he even goes a step further and he says, Joe, listen, we can do this the easy way or we could do this the hard way.
The party's basically saying we can do this the easy way or we can do this
Correct.
the hard way.
And well, they tried to do it the easy way.
Yep.
Yeah, right. That's
and now
right. That's past.
You know,
yeah.
and it
We're
looks
into the
like,
hard way.
you know, it looks like this campaign to try to persuade him to do this perhaps has been months in the making, not days or weeks or any of that. And I'll tell you, I think we're all starting to wonder, perhaps the early debate there was some intention here with this early debate to be like, okay, we've got to have this conversation out in the open because we're not having it. Nothing's happening very well behind closed doors.
What's that you say? The mainstream media is coming to the realization that conservatives came to months ago? When has this happened before? When has this happened before? You're just now realizing that debate was a tryout? Oh, isn't that weird? It just seems like the mainstream media is a day late and a dollar short constantly on the biggest issues affecting the nation. We're starting to come to the realization that debate might have been a tryout. Just now, Chuck Todd. What a clown. An absolute clown. They knew the entire time. They're lying to the American people. They knew what this was. They've known what this was. And they're lying. Spoiler alert. The Democrats are lying. Or just come to the realization. Maybe that debate was a tryout. Okay, cool. We kind of figured that. We figured that out a long time ago. Cedric Richmond, the Biden campaign's co-chair, is out there denying all of these reports, though.
Can you first talk to us about whether the reporting in the New York Times and in other outlets is correct that President Biden is considering stepping off of the Democratic ticket?
The New York Times reporting is absolutely wrong, and it's been consistently wrong. The president has said that he is running, and it's the end of story. And so he was just out here in Nevada talking to the NAACP, and he is running his campaign along with the vice president.
He is running his campaign along with the vice president. Okay. Thanks, Cedric. The Biden campaign chair is also saying that he's going to be back on the campaign trail next week. Said that in an MSNBC interview as well. Is he going to recover from COVID that quick? Leanne has a comment on Biden and COVID. What's up, Leanne?
Oh, nothing much. I do love your show. I listen to it at work every day.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome. But I was just thinking, what if they told Biden that he had COVID so that he could be pulled out of the race? And the medicine that they were giving him to hype him up for the speeches and everything stopped working, so they had to come up with an idea.
Maybe. Nothing would shock me. And the fact that the powers that be would lie to Joe Biden doesn't shock me at all. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. I think you got a good theory there, Leanne. Appreciate you. And breaking now, 4 more House Democrats have come forward calling on Joe Biden to step down. We got Jared Hugman out of California, Mark Veazey out of Texas, Chai Garcia out of Illinois, and Mark Pocan out of Wisconsin. Full-blown rebellion against Joe Biden. You love to see it, don't you? You love to see it. I love to see it. So the latest reporting that's been really making news in a lot of spots comes from Mark Halperin. He made this comment on Newsmax last night, and he said Biden is going to be stepping down by Sunday. This is Mark Halperin on Newsmax yesterday. He was actually on Carl Higbee's show. Carl Higbee's been on the program with us before. Great guy. And he dropped this bomb yesterday with Carl Higbee. Mark Halperin did.
Carl, according to multiple Democratic sources, this is happening all of a sudden. Everyone said it would happen gradually and then all at once, and that's what's happening. According to my sources, President Biden has agreed to step down as the Democratic nominee.
Oh, man.
It will happen as early as this weekend. A speech has been drafted for him. He will continue on as president, is his intention. He also will not, I'm told, endorse Vice President Harris as his successor.
That's my favorite part about the reporting, by the way, that he's not going to endorse Kamala Harris as his successor.
My favorite part is
they're hoping that he will endorse an open process in which the convention will be open to Vice President Harris and a few other candidates in Chicago to pick the Democratic nominee for president.
So Mark Halperin saying he won't endorse Kamala Harris, but they're hoping he would endorse an open process. Can you imagine how angry and befuddled Joe Biden is currently? And Mark goes a step forward, so a step further. He says, so he won't endorse Kamala, but, if not Biden, then who, I think, is the question that we're all asking.
The belief is that Vice President Harris is already looking at potential running mates to go to Chicago with a full ticket, including one possibility, Andy Beshear, the governor of Kentucky, and perhaps the governor of Pennsylvania, Governor Shapiro.
I mentioned both of those names yesterday. Beshear is actually, honestly, brilliant. It counter-programs J.D. Vance and the Rust Belt influence. Shapiro is a long shot, an absolute long shot. He is too smart to hitch his wagon to Kamala Harris. Does he have aspirations to be president? Absolutely. He's on record. He wants to be the first Jewish president. And if he wants to do that, he probably knows you shouldn't hitch your wagon to Kamala Harris.
Other possible candidates who are being talked about include Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, perhaps Gretchen Whitmer, and again, the vice president running. On the first ballot, the regular delegates would be allowed to vote under this agreement that's being talked about amongst the president and high-level Democratic officials. The regular delegates would vote on the first ballot. If there is no winner on the first ballot, the so-called super delegates would be allowed to vote on the subsequent ballot. This decision was reached, I'm told, all of a sudden because of the high-level pressure from Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, and others, and as well as the decision of many of President Biden's top aides that there was no path forward for him, that he would not be able to win this election, win the general election. And therefore, he's stepping aside again as early as this weekend.
So they're saying as early as this weekend. If this happens, right, these past 10 days, we have witnessed a wild week in American history, a week that is going to be discussed for decades and decades and decades. It's unreal how lucky we are to be able to witness this. I don't know, maybe I'm weird. I look at all this news and all of this breaking, and I truly feel lucky to be a part of this, and just be able to witness this. It's insane what we're seeing. It's insane. The Democrat Party is in open rebellion against Joe Biden. The Republican Party is more united than it's ever been after an assassination attempt against Donald Trump. The RNC is in the books. We have our official nominee, and the Democrats don't. But the Democrats want to say that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. The Democrats aren't even letting their own voters pick the candidate. Are you kidding? We're the threat to democracy. That's us. Wild. I got a couple calls waiting on the line. Let's go to Bill in Smyrna. You're up first on Super Talk. What's up, Bill?
I've noticed something that I haven't seen on TV at all. I've watched that bullet trajectory going past Donald Trump, and it is at a perfect, and I've measured this several times, perfectly horizontal line. This guy on the roof, even though Donald Trump was on a stage, was higher than Donald Trump. Why isn't that bullet going down at an angle? Nobody has said anything about this, and I said, why not? It's almost obvious. I don't know if you looked at it close. That's perfectly horizontal. He was not perfectly horizontal to Donald Trump.
I mean, I'll take a look at it. If it's perfectly horizontal, then somebody would need to be as high as Donald Trump is on the stage.
Right, and he was higher. He was up on that roof, and that rooftop was higher than where Donald Trump was on the stage. That's what's got me wondering, why isn't anything being said?
I don't know.
That's all I got.
I'll take another look at it. I appreciate the call, Bill. Let's go to Mike. Trump wants to talk Trump documents. Mike, you're next on Super Talk.
Yeah,
I was thinking about, if you look back in 2009, 2020, Trump was supposedly had a folder of all the alphabet soup's bad doings while he was in office, and he took that home with him. Well, then a year later, they said, or 2 years later, they sent a FBI and a search warrant to get those. Now we go a week before Trump got shot at. They threw that case out, and then that following weekend he got shot at. It's just not up to.
Yeah, I'm not sure, man. I want to see people held accountable. We'll see what happens. I hope he does have a folder of documents. I haven't seen, nothing's been confirmed. I've heard that story for a while. I will say this: after the Trump speech, there's a lot of people on the internet saying Trump sent a message to the deep state. Have you seen this on the internet? So after Trump's speech, the opera singer sang Nessun Dorma. And Nessun Dorma is actually played at the end of the film, The Sum of All Fears. And that's when they take out all the traitors and deep state actors. People are saying he chose that song on purpose. He's definitely going to win. I am convinced Donald Trump is going to win the presidency in November. And I hope that he does take out the deep state. Lord knows we need him to. It's 10:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at United Structural Systems, USS for short. These guys are your specialists when it comes to your crawl space and foundation issues. They do good work, and they've been doing it in Middle Tennessee since 1994. If you need foundation repair, steel underpinning systems, maybe you're tired of looking at the sinkhole on your property, or you need some foundation or structural repair, the guys to call are at USS. Again, they've been doing this in Middle Tennessee since 1994. They're not going anywhere. You can't say that when you work with the new guy in town. With the new guy in town, you have no guarantee that they'll still be around if you ever have a warranty issue. Well, you can guarantee USS is going to be here, and USS is so confident that when they come to your home, they're going to make a custom plan to solve whatever's ailing your home, your foundation, your crawl space. They won't leave until the job is done and you're satisfied. And when they do leave, they leave a warranty that is good for life. Even if you leave the home, the warranty will stay. That's how confident they are in the work that they do. You won't pay until the work is done and you're satisfied. And they've been doing it so much that they have 25,000 satisfied customers. Call USS today. They guarantee their best, and they're going to take the stress out of home repair. They keep your home dry and stable. 615-488-7855. That's 615-488-7855, and online at USSTN.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
populations of animals. I mean, think about the white-tailed deer and how when Ed started, and maybe even before Ed a little bit, they started, working to bring these populations back. And now we have these sustainable populations that we can hunt.
Yeah.
The story of the eastern wild turkey and what's happening with turkeys. So I would consider all these things great successes. The conservation efforts that have been worked on by the personnel for years, I would think that it's a great success story for our state.
You're going to see some footage from an old film that was produced here at the agency in the Game and Fish days, and which shows some things like, the wife taking care of the animal that the officer, the husband, had to bring home to take care of, because they got a call, and times have changed. Now we have the rehabilitators that help out with that kind of thing. And
thank goodness. We got to be really good friends with some of those little animals. And my first commission in 1972.
Okay, yeah.
At that time, it was a little different. The whole law enforcement world was different then. Yeah. So anyway, we got the first commission in 1972 and worked all over the state. It was really great to be able to do that. Pretty much, you had one uniform. And I noticed in the movie too, everybody wearing ties. For years and years, you had to. If you wore a long sleeve shirt, you had to wear a tie. It didn't matter if you were doing enforcement or sailing a pond or whatever you were doing. You had that tie on.
Oh wow!
Wow!
And then everybody looked forward. There was one date, and it kind of moved. It was generally around April the 1st. You switched from long sleeves to short sleeves, and you didn't have to wear a tie. And everybody's going, "Come on, April 1st."
Good morning. It's 11 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've had some clouds roll in here on Music Row. We are at 81 degrees, a full forecast in just a couple of minutes. Well, we're still talking about this computer outage issue, a massive Microsoft outage impacting businesses all over the globe, taking some companies temporarily offline and forcing major airlines to ground flights. Microsoft saying there were some issues with cloud services and various apps. Cybersecurity agency CrowdStrike says it's identified the issue behind the outage and they're working on it, and that it's not, as they claim, because of a security issue or a cyber attack. Now, here is a former FBI agent and a cyber expert. He's ABC News contributor Brad Garrett.
We get patches every day to fix malware from trying to get through our firewall. Can you figure out a way to infect the patch? Could that be a malicious actor outside of the United States? Maybe. But the point being, we have to have backup.
And back here in Tennessee, a 12-year-old girl has been charged with first-degree murder after prosecutors said she suffocated her 8-year-old cousin in a bunk bed that they shared in Humboldt, Tennessee. Demaria Hollingsworth, 8 years of age, and her cousin were staying with their grandmother in Humboldt for the summer. According to District Attorney Frederick Agee, home surveillance video showed a child identified as Hollingsworth's 12-year-old cousin smother the little girl with bedding. The video then showed the 12-year-old clean up and reposition the body. The victim's mother, Rayana Smith, told News 2 here in Nashville, their sister station, WREG, that the whole issue arose over an argument about an iPhone. And finally, Lou Dobbs, the conservative political pundit and veteran cable TV host who was a founding anchor for CNN way back when and was later a nightly presence on Fox Business Network, he has passed away. He was 78 years of age. His death was announced yesterday late on his official X account, which called him a fighter till the very end, fighting for what mattered to him most, God, his family, and country. No cause of death has been given. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
.1106 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. During the break, another senator has called on Joe Biden to bow out of his reelection campaign. Senator Martin Heinrich, a New Mexico Democrat who is up for re-election. Everybody's turning on Joe. Everybody's turning on Joe. Even Mark Zuckerberg is saying he won't endorse Joe Biden. He won't endorse either political candidate, full disclosure. But he said that when he saw Trump get shot and pump his fist, it was the most badass thing he's ever seen in his life. And he said this in an interview with Bloomberg.
I've done some stuff personally in the past. I'm not planning on doing that this time. And that includes, not endorsing either of the candidates. Now, look, there's obviously a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. The historic events over over the weekend. And on a personal note, it's, seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life. But look, it's, and I think, look, it's, at some level as an American, it's like hard to not get kind of emotional about that spirit and that fight. And I think that's why a lot of people like the guy.
Yeah, that's why we like him. See, the thing is that these leftists are just realizing the spirit in the fight that we've seen for a long time. We've known about this for a long time. It always seems like we're quite a few months or a few years ahead of the curve here as conservatives, at least in this past few years. We're ahead. We're always ahead of the way the trend is going. And even Mark Zuckerberg now is saying it's hard to not look at that and feel inspired. I will say this, as everybody comes around to Donald Trump, we got some old faithfuls that are really bashing him. The View has done that this morning, and they say that when Trump said God was watching him that day, that it's a very unchristian thing to say. That's what Joy Behar said on The View this morning.
I want to point out one thing. I'm speaking to fellow Christians. I was raised Catholic. I'm a Christian girl. When something like this happens to you, like this assassination attempt, and you say something like God was watching me, that is a very unchristian thing to say because it's very narcissistic. What about Corey? What's his name? Compratore, the fireman who also got killed.
I don't know. I think it's unchristian.
What about all those guys who got killed on Sandy Hook? All of those people.
Yeah, it's very unchristian. What about Corey Compratore?
She's Catholic and yet is Christian. She doesn't even know what she's talking about.
It's unbelievable. And then she says, what about all those people at Sandy Hook? Which actually reminds me of the fact that there's hundreds, thousands of the Blue Anon conspiracy theorist folks on the left right now who think the entire shooting was staged. She brings up Sandy Hook, and my mind goes to the fact that wasn't Alex Jones fined billions of dollars for saying that the shooting was staged at Sandy Hook? Yet Joy Reid can go on MSNBC and say that she thinks the shooting was staged. Staged? Two tiers, right? And it's not just randos on the internet. We've all heard about the QAnon on the right. Well, on the left, it's Blue Anon. And Blue Anon is really captivating the Democrat Party. One third of Democrats believe that the Trump assassination attempt was staged. 1/3. That's the conspiracy theory when it comes to the assassination. Just for the record, there's two theories that we're operating with on the conservative side. Absolute failure at every level on security, or something more intentional, something far more sinister. And we're being patient. We are. We all have our thoughts. We all think it stinks, but we're being patient, right? On the left, they've gone full tinfoil, and they think the entire shooting was staged. Those are the conspiracy theorists. You're not a conspiracy theorist if you think it doesn't add up and you want an investigation and you want answers and you want real investigations that you can trust. That doesn't make you a conspiracy theorist. What makes you a conspiracy theorist is being on the left right now and being one of those 1 out of 3 people on the left who thinks the entire thing was staged. That's the conspiracy theory right now. Eric in White House, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Eric?
Hey, how are you doing, sir?
Good, man. How are you?
Well, doing well, thank you. On that last note, yeah, if anything was staged, it was staged by in my view and everyone else's view, probably the Secret Service. Like, there was so much that wasn't done. I often have been lately, I've been comparing it to the sins of commission, intentional sins and wrongdoing versus the sins of omission, where you allow something horrible to happen and stand idly by. And I think of that, and I think of a bank robber coming into a bank with a weapon, and law enforcement seeing him, law enforcement having all this time in the world to do something about it, but rather instead stand by and watch him go in and kill people and rob the bank. How are they not accomplices to something that they knew the whole time and allowed to take place until the shots were fired? Then they reacted. I
love
you, brother. You're awesome.
Hey, I appreciate you, Eric, and thank you for listening. I think that you can make the argument that something criminal happened when Secret Service knew that the suspect was on the roof. They had identified him as suspicious up to an hour before. They identified him as a threat 10 minutes before Trump took the stage, and they knew he was on the roof, and you let him take the stage. That to me feels downright criminal. Downright criminal. Anna Navarro on the Trump speech last night, she says that the bandage on Trump's ear should have actually been over his mouth. This is, mind you, Anna Navarro is the Republican on The View.
Biden had been up there giving that speech. Men in white coats would have interrupted him and carted him off and put him in a padded wagon. I thought today I would wake up and the TV would be full of like doctors talking about Donald Trump's cognitive decline. I thought it would be full of Republicans hanging their heads in shame like Democrats did. Joe Biden had a bad 90-minute debate. He said it's one episode. That's what we've seen so far. What we saw yesterday was a replay of Trump's 90-minute constant rallies. It's too bad the bandage was just over his ear. It should have been over his mouth.
What a trash person. And what an ice-cold take. Donald Trump could seamlessly go between his speech and riffing. Seamlessly. To the point where, like, the teleprompter operator for Donald Trump, it's either one of the hardest jobs in America, or it's like, you're just playing instruments with some friends and you pick up wherever you feel like it's time to pick up. Anna Navarro. I thought doctors were going to be talking about his cognitive decline. Did she even watch the speech, do you think? Probably not. She probably didn't watch the speech. The speech was fantastic.
My mother, who is not a big political person, said it was one of the greatest speeches she's ever heard.
Yep.
That's saying something.
I mean, there you go. We all saw it. He needs to put the bandage over his mouth. Okay. Unbelievable. The View also is worried that if they leapfrog over Kamala Harris, they're going to lose the black vote.
Kamala, if she is leapfrogged and there's just some open convention, no Democratic nominee can win without the black vote.
Well, I would argue that that's one of the big problems with Biden and Harris now, is that you're losing the black vote. Is it not?
Women will not support Kamala Harris being looked over. Why? Because she is ready, overlooked. But she is ready to be the president. She's been in the Oval Office with him. She's been in the Situation Room with him.
Okay, so they were talking about doctors need to evaluate Donald Trump after the speech, and then Sonny Hostin can come on The View and say Kamala Harris is ready to be the president, and they don't think that she needs doctor's intervention.
How dare people suggest that she is incompetent?
What do you mean? How dare people suggest she's incompetent? What on earth? What? Have you seen her? I'd play some clips, but I don't want to burden us by what has been.
No, just to be clear, I suggested absolutely no such thing. She's entirely qualified. I do think that I would be stunned if they went a different direction and voters stayed home and let Trump win, though, purely because the vice president was passed over.
I think, but isn't it up to a few swing states right now, and not? It's like a lot of white people now. Also.
Oh yeah, look out for the white people. Look out for those whites. The left is the party of identity politics and racism and gender, and this is what they do. Well, look out for the white people.
Yes.
Well, it's always been a lot of white people. I mean, I know that, but in these
Democratic
states.
candidate cannot win. No Democratic candidate has won in the past 5 decades without the black vote.
So do you think that if they had a white candidate, the black vote would
I think if
go
they
to Trump?
overlook and leapfrog over Kamala Harris, that is going to be a problem.
It's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. Eric in Morristown, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Eric?
Hey, bro. Good morning, man. Thanks for taking my call, man. Hey, real quick, I concur, and I know I'm not the only one about Eric Trump's speech. Massive.
Right?
That was a grand slam. That was a triple, whatever. That was a hat trick. That was stupendous. And I challenge others to also look at what Kimberly Guilfoyle said in her speech. Her delivery was a little off, in my opinion.
Can I be honest with you? Can I be honest with you about Kimberly Guilfoyle?
Yeah, sure, man.
I feel like she channels like a black pastor whenever she gives a speech. It's like, in my time, I will find this. It's too much for me.
The delivery in Kane's a little off, but read what she said. I tend to listen to these things and watch these things on a C-SPAN because there's no subliminal influencing by any host.
I like
they
that.
let you hear every single speech and this, that, and the other. I think Eric Trump's speech was monumental. The other speakers, you expected them to be there. But with that said, regarding putting bandages over mouths, there are things that should be put in other people's mouths that they use, in my opinion, on that program. And I'll just keep it like that. But lastly, there's some I don't know if it's breaking news or whatever, but Josh Hawley just put out on his Twitter feed.
Yes, I have that report. Yep.
Go ahead and talk about that one. That is huge. And my opinion is the Director of Secret Service is playing some political ping pong with the Secretary of Homeland Security, saying, you're my boss, and here's where it came from. Yes, this happened, but here's where it came from. So I think there's a little political. I still think she should be immediately secured and placed in protective custody of the marshals, if not transported to Quantico for safekeeping for her own safety. This is just. I'm not talking under arrest or anything. In a sane world, that's what would happen. But again, man, the RNC was massive. Eric Trump's speech was incredible. How should I say? The buck stopped. They're taking ownership, and that's what real leaders do. They take ownership, whether it's failure or success. If it's success, a good leader will pass it down to the subordinates, if you will. Hey, the team made this happen. Y'all did this. I'm just here, kind of steering the ship a little bit. We're gonna go over here. Then they will take the fall. Hey, you know what? We screwed up. I screwed up. I should have done X, Y, and Z. But hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to lift and shift. We're going to shift fire, base fire, and this is where we're going to hit them now.
Yeah, it was extreme.
I appreciate it.
It was extreme accountability when he said, the illegal aliens are in hotels and you're sleeping under a bridge. I'm sorry.
That takes ownership. Hey,
it was unbelievable.
Whatever. Massive. Yeah, dichotomy of leadership. That whole extreme ownership. That everybody could read that book or whatnot. But anyway, thanks, man. I appreciate the time, and y'all have a good morning, man.
Eric, you're always welcome on the show, brother. I appreciate you. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, man. So Josh Hawley, there is some leaks coming out, and the essentially whistleblowers are coming forward. Whistleblowers from the Secret Service are coming forward, and they've told the House, whistleblowers have told the House Judiciary Committee that the Secret Service led briefings on July 8th to discuss the upcoming rally for Trump and for another event in the state on the same day, which was, obviously July 13th for Jill Biden, and that a Secret Service official said the agency already had limited resources that week. So now Jim Jordan made the disclosure in a letter to FBI Director Christopher Wray on Thursday, noting that at the briefings with the Western Pennsylvania Fusion Center, United States Secret Service Special Agent in Charge Tim Burke reportedly told law enforcement partners that the Secret Service had limited resources that week due to the agency covering the North Atlantic Treaty Organization Summit in Washington, D.C. Jordan asked Wray, was the security posture at Trump's event limited due to resource constraints with the NATO summit and or First Lady Jill Biden's event in Pittsburgh? According to a White House and media advisory, Biden was scheduled to be arriving at the Pittsburgh International Airport at 4 o'clock, and then at 5 was scheduled to deliver remarks at an Italian Sons and Daughters of America dinner in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Trump was scheduled to begin speaking at 5. He took the stage a little late, about 6:02. 9 minutes later, shots rang out. Well, Jordan said while the FBI is one of many agencies represented in the WPFC. It is the lead federal investigative arm and a key source of intelligence on potential threats for events in the area of responsibility. He noted the FBI is also investigating the assassination attempt, but Jim Jordan has some questions for Ray to answer before July 23rd, which is when we're going to have these big hearings. How many agents, analysts, and support personnel of the FBI dedicated to the investigation? Was there coordination between the FBI, Secret Service, and the WPFC prior to President Trump's event on the 13th? How many buildings had to be secured inside and outside of the security perimeter? He's got a list of questions, and whistleblowers are coming forward. We're going to cover this a little bit more after the break. I'll let you know what the whistleblowers are saying, what Josh Hawley's saying, and more. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Many computer systems worldwide remain in chaos. And back here in Nashville, a local business owner and a witness detain a would-be carjacker. We'll have those stories at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay. It's 11:25 on Super Talk. Breaking now, Senator Josh Hawley saying whistleblowers have come forward alleging the Biden DHS assigned unprepared and inexperienced personnel to Donald Trump on Saturday in Butler, Pennsylvania, some of whom weren't even Secret Service. This is according to Josh Hawley. Whistleblowers who have direct knowledge of the event have approached my office. According to the allegations, the July 13th rally was considered to be a loose security event. That's what Hawley said in a letter to Alejandro Mayorkas. For example, he says, detection canines were not used to monitor entry and detect threats in the usual manner. Individuals without proper designations were able to gain access to backstage areas. That's wild. I don't know if you've ever been to a Trump rally or an event where Trump is, but to get into a backstage area without proper designations, that doesn't make any sense. Josh Hawley also says the whistleblowers tell him department personnel did not appropriately police the security buffer around the podium and were also not stationed at regular intervals around the event's security perimeter. In addition, whistleblower allegations suggest the majority of DHS officials were not, in fact, U.S. Secret Service agents, but instead drawn from the department's Homeland Security investigations. This is especially concerning given that HSI agents were unfamiliar with standard protocol typically used for these type of events, according to the allegations. And let's also point out, we were told just a couple days ago that there was heightened security around Donald Trump because of a known Iranian threat that they perceived to be credible. So you know that there's an Iranian threat that's credible, and you don't even put Secret Service agents around him at the event, according to some of these whistleblowers. The questions are wild. The questions are numerous. And I'm tired of seeing the woman in the back on these the behind Trump who randomly took a video. People are now saying that, oh, this woman is an FBI deputy, but the picture of the FBI deputy looks nothing like her. Nothing. And I would point out, like, why would they need to do that? Like, the insinuation is that the FBI set it up, but why would she need to be there behind Trump? I think would be my question. This isn't a mob hit where you need to send a finger back to prove it got done. This is on national TV. If your brain is going in that route, why would they need to put somebody from the FBI back there to film it? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I think that all these weird theories muddy the water of what are real, actual questions that we need to have answered. We have conspiracies on both sides, right? It was really the left at first, but some of the stuff on the right that I'm seeing blows my mind. Are there some things that actually, merit investigation and are real questions? Absolutely. Do I think this stinks to high heaven? Yes, 100%, especially with this new whistleblower allegations from Josh Hawley. Yes, it stinks. But I think we need to be careful before we muddy the water and say, oh, there was an FBI agent behind Trump in the crowd. She was a deputy director. I've had people sending me this nonstop this morning. And I'm not knocking you for sending it to me, for the record. But they say, oh, the assistant director of the FBI was behind Trump. That's who that weird lady was in the crowd. I'm like, I don't buy that. I don't. I don't buy it. That's just me. Emilio, what's going on, man? You're up next on Super Talk.
Hey, I've been following the radio station I'm just wondering, how do you do that? I mean, they asked Trump, hey, somebody's going to shoot near your ear, but they're not going to shoot you?
Right? Yeah.
I don't, why is nobody, I didn't know if you guys talked about that or what.
Yeah, I mean, so they think that it was staged with crisis actors. It was fake shots. They were just shooting near Trump. They weren't shooting at Trump. They're insane. They're just insane. I think one of the things that they hang on is that the crowd didn't run. Well, no, the crowd knew who the shots were intended for, and the crowd was filled with first responders and American patriots and veterans. Like, these people aren't running. None of it makes any sense, but they're looking on the left. They're looking to grasp onto anything to discredit what we all saw, which was a moment of pure leadership and authenticity of Donald Trump when he got up and pumped his fist and said, fight. They don't want that goodwill for Donald Trump is what it boils down to.
Yeah, but, they shot and, people, one person got killed, it just doesn't make sense. How can anybody think it was staged? It burns me up.
And you got people, and I appreciate your call, man. And you got people like Joy Reid who is questioning whether or not it was real or whether or not it was staged. And I just want to point out, Alex Jones got fined billions upon billions of dollars for suggesting the same thing about Sandy Hook. Are we going to see the same kind of treatment for Joy Reid for suggesting that this was staged? Probably not. 2 tiers of justice. It's 11:31 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 11:31, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Mostly cloudy and 81 degrees, a full forecast coming up in a few minutes. Computer systems at hospitals, airlines, even some radio stations and 911 operations have all been thrown into chaos this morning after an outage tied to cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike. We've got more now from ABC's Mike Dubusky.
A software update sent out by the cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike to Windows computers is faulty. Tony Anscombe is with ESET, another cybersecurity company.
There's an incompatibility between the update of that third-party software and the Windows architecture, which means everybody is now seeing a machine that unfortunately is bricked.
CrowdStrike says the issue has been identified and that a software fix has been deployed. They also say this was not a cyber attack.
Back in Music City, a man is facing charges for an alleged carjacking at an auto shop yesterday morning. Metro Police say it happened at Lucky's Custom Wheels and Tires on Lafayette Street. According to police, 27-year-old Cedric Taylor is accused of approaching a woman who was sitting in her car, then punching her while demanding money. Authorities say the suspect pulled the woman from her vehicle and then she ran into the business for help. Before Taylor could put the car in drive, the owner of the business ran to the woman's car, busted the driver's side window with the victim's permission, and forced Taylor out through the passenger side. According to police, the business owner and another witness detained Taylor until police arrived and put him under arrest. Hear, hear. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Populations of animals. I mean, think about the white-tailed deer and how when Ed started, and maybe even before Ed a little bit, they started, working to bring these populations back. And now we have these sustainable populations that we can hunt.
Yeah.
The story of the eastern wild turkey and what's happening with turkeys. So I would consider all these things great successes. The conservation efforts that have been worked on by the personnel for years, I would think that it's a great success story for our state.
You're going to see some footage from an old film that was produced here at the agency in the Game and Fish days, and which shows some things like, the wife taking care of the animal that the officer, the husband, had to bring home to take care of, because they got a call, and times have changed. Now we have the rehabilitators that help out with that kind of thing. And
thank goodness. We got to be really good friends with some of those little animals. And my first commission in 1972.
Okay, yeah.
At that time, it was a little different. The whole law enforcement world was different then. So anyway, I got my first commission in 1972 and worked all over the state. It was really great to be able to do that. Pretty much you had one uniform. I noticed in the movie too, everybody wearing ties, for years and years. You had to, if you wore a long sleeve shirt, you had to wear a tie. It didn't matter if you were doing enforcement or sailing a pond or whatever you were doing, you had that tie on.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And then everybody looked forward. There was one date and it kind of moved. It was generally around April the 1st. You switched from long sleeves to short sleeves and you didn't have to wear a tie. And everybody's going, come on, April 1st.
11:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. Hey, how are you? Find me on Twitter, Truth Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on air. That's at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. We can be heard anywhere on the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, on the FM dial. You can watch us on Super Talk TV, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. You can catch the podcasts all weekend long on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We're everywhere. Everywhere. Even if you don't listen to the podcast, I got 4 kids. So if you can hit subscribe and rate me 5 stars, I'd appreciate it. Okay, you know, we got weddings to pay for in the future. So it would be helpful. It would be helpful. Steven wants to talk about the RNC. You're up next on Super Talk. What's up, Steve?
Hey, Chris. Hey, I just wanted to say, man, that was a good show last night. I'm going to have to say, I know Eric Trump did a really good speech, but I'm going to have to say my favorite by far was Hulk Hogan, man. You know, it was
that was your favorite?
Awesome to see Hulk Hogan.
See, I felt a little let down, and I think it was my own fault with Hulk. I heard an interview he did with Fox beforehand talking about how he was afraid to be vocal and supportive of President Trump in the past, but that changed. And I thought we were gonna get more of that. I thought we were gonna have less Hulk, more Terry Bollea. So I was a little bit disappointed. But if you went in with no expectations, I can understand why you thought that that was solid.
Yeah, and the Kid Rock performance, I mean, I think it was the wrong crowd.
Yes,
don't get me wrong. I like Kid Rock, but
poor
to
Kid
see
Rock.
all them,
did you see
to
this?
see all them
They're just
Republicans in
standing
there
there.
trying to.
They didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to do when he came on. I agree with that. It was a little awkward. I felt bad.
Yeah, he should have just talked instead of actually putting on a show. But I just wanted to comment on that, man. Everything looks like it's going in the right direction so far.
Yeah, it certainly does. Appreciate your call, but I mean, this isn't the time to celebrate. Like, let's appreciate it. Let's appreciate the moment. Let's be grateful we're here where we are. But this is only the third quarter of the greatest political comeback of all time. The fourth quarter is about to start, and this game is not yet won. It's not yet won. We still have a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. We don't even know who we're going to be running against. We don't. We don't know who the Democrat nominee is going to be. The Biden camp are saying, oh, those reports are false. But who are you going to believe? The Biden camp or Obama, Pelosi, Schumer? They're going to get rid of Biden whether he likes it or not. Whether he likes it or not. So who's going to be the nominee? That's going to be the big question in the coming weeks, and it's going to get interesting. Joe in Oak Hill, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Joe?
Young man, you're doing a good job. I've called Joe Biden to send you a check.
Jeez, I don't want Joe printing any more checks. That's how the inflation started.
Chris, who is the major threat to the government, the CIA, the FBI, Secret Service?
I feel like you're going to go with Donald J. Trump.
Right. Do you think this matter that happened Saturday was intentional?
So, I mean, I have my personal opinion.
That was an accident.
I have my personal opinions. I think
does a 20-year-old kid get up on Saturday morning and says, hey, I think I'm going to go and try to kill Trump? Somebody in the government knew about that.
I mean, until it's proven, it's really hard to say that definitively. I think that you can look at the situation and realize that there are some serious questions. And I personally think it stinks to high heaven. But we need serious investigations. And we also need to realize if the story that they're giving us now, that it was a lone wolf and it was just a security failure, that to me is almost even more scary than if it was intentional.
Do you buy that story?
I don't necessarily buy that story.
No. Do you trust the FBI investigating this?
Oh man, I trust the FBI. Yeah, who doesn't trust the FBI?
Listen,
they go after pro-lifers and MAGA grandmas with such efficiency.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But they can't give you an answer on this 20-year-old kid.
Well, I always find it odd when they say, we don't know the motive, but if the motive was in a different direction, we would have had it in 15 minutes. It's like the old Ann Coulter, Coulter's Law. The longer they go without telling you the motive or anything about the shooter, the more you can just come to your own conclusions about it.
Do you think somebody gave this kid's family money?
No, I don't necessarily think that. I mean,
why?
Well, I think that the parents were worried. They called police before the rally to kind of say, we can't find our son. They were both mental health professionals. I think that they knew something was up. But I think that you can look at it, and I was talking yesterday. There was a bomb expert talking about this. A former military explosives expert. He's like, you need like a Breaking Bad lab to build the kind of bombs with the remote detonators that this kid had. It's not something he's going to build in his garage without his parents noticing.
No, that's what I'm. Why would the father buy this guy a gun?
Well, the father didn't buy the guy the gun. The father let the kid borrow the gun to go to the rifle club for shooting. But
yes, but if you're a parent and you know your son has mental problems, why in the blank is he at a shooting range?
Well, I would say this. I haven't seen any reporting that says the parents knew he had mental problems, okay?
Yeah.
But if you're willing to shoot the president and your parents are mental health counselors, well, they probably should have known.
Right.
Yeah, there's so many more questions, and now whistleblowers are coming out saying that this thing wasn't staffed the way it should have been.
This was intentional.
It may have been.
It was not an accident.
It may have been. It may have been, and it's scary. But I would think that a security failure is almost even scarier. And I think everybody on the left should want a full investigation too.
The left don't give a damn.
But they have to understand that if it is a security failure the way they say it is, then it could be a security failure for Biden or for the next Democrat president too.
The government is not going to give up their power, and they're not going to give up their control. Have a good day. I hope you get your check.
I appreciate you, Joe. Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, are there real questions? Absolutely. Absolutely. Do I trust the FBI investigating this? No, I don't. But we'll see what happens. As the days go on, we're going to get more answers. July 23rd, we're going to have Ray, Cheadle, and more being questioned by Congress, and I'm looking forward to that. I don't know if they're going to be able to get away with sloped roof after the whistleblowers coming out. Josh Hawley has whistleblowers who say they have direct knowledge of the event and that they have approached his office. And according to the allegations of the whistleblowers, they considered the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, a loose security event. Detection canines were not used to monitor any entry and detect threats in the usual manner. Individuals without proper designations were able to gain access to backstage areas. Department personnel did not appropriately police the security buffer around the podium and were not stationed at regular intervals around the event's security perimeter. In addition, whistleblower allegations suggest the majority of DHS officials were not, in fact, U.S. Secret Service agents, but instead they were drawn from the department's Homeland Security investigations. They say this is especially concerning given that HSI agents were unfamiliar with standard protocols typically used at these type of events, according to the allegations. This is from Josh Hawley. It's breaking now. Whistleblowers are coming forward. And you listen to anybody. You listen to these whistleblowers. If you put, if you believe these allegations, or if you listen to anyone with any kind of sniper experience, everybody thinks this stinks to high heaven. Tucker made a point last night that I really liked. He said, with everything going on, Donald Trump had an opportunity to inflame the country. And he didn't. And he said that's what real leaders do. And when you look at the difference between Donald Trump and anyone on the left, The people on the left never let a good crisis go to waste. Donald Trump called for the country to unite. That's the biggest difference. That's the biggest difference. It's 11:48 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We're going to check in with Matt Murphy next, see what's coming up on The Murphy Show.
Another day and more calls for Biden to drop out of the race. Citizens foil an attempted carjacking and a huge glitch slows computers nationwide. Those stories coming up at noon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, sir. It's 11:55 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, joined in studio by Matt Murphy. What up, Murph?
I felt like Joe Biden for a moment. I couldn't figure out my left from my right. You know what I'm saying? Hello.
Was that
hey, everybody?
When you were putting on your headphones?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out which was left and which was right.
Did you do the hand thing?
I did, yeah. Lefty loosey, righty tighty.
Yeah. The left hand makes an L.
That's right. That's right. Unless you're looking, and then now
all bets are off.
That's my right hand that's making the L.
It's very confusing.
It's a problem. I feel like I do.
I've had this conversation multiple times with my kids. What do you mean? What do you mean? That one makes the L.
Oh man. What about last night, huh?
It was a doozy.
It was a doozy.
Eric Trump 2028. What do you think? Tell me why not?
JD Vance probably has something to say about it, but I mean, I don't know. I just want to wait. You're the one. You were the other day. You're like, everybody calm down. We got a lot of time to go. Let's not count our chickens before they hatch. And now you're talking about 2028 already.
I said that a couple times, but dude, when I heard him say this, it was just like so good. Oh, hold on. Let me turn on my audio.
So really good.
So good.
Sleeping under a bridge as illegal immigrants are housed in the most expensive hotels in New York. I'm sorry. We know it's wrong, and we will fix it.
Love it.
I loved that speech. That was my favorite speech of the night.
I love it. I loved everything about it. And I actually, I thought in the moment that Donald J. Trump's speech might have been a little bit too long because he went back to the original stump, but I think it was intentional, and I'm going to talk about that today in the opening monologue. The shift in tone in the middle of the speech was intentional, and I think it's actually brilliant because you're bringing in a lot of people that have never watched Donald Trump before to that convention. And so you want to introduce them to Donald Trump in that very particular way in this moment in time, 5 days after the assassination attempt on his life. And then he goes back into some of the meat and potatoes. So the first half of that speech was for the newbies.
Yep.
The second half of that speech was to remind those that have been with him since 2015, I hadn't left you. I'm not going anywhere. I'm the same guy that I've always been. Don't worry about that. But the first part of the speech is for the new guys. They slowly filter out. You expect that they're going to slowly filter out as the speech goes on. But for the people in that room and for the people like you and me who have been Trump through and through for a long time, he gave us some meat and potatoes to chew on.
I think you nailed it. You got every version of Trump.
Yep.
You got every version you got 2015, you got 2020, and you got 2024.
And I love it when Donald Trump says things and he knows how the leftist media will react to it. When he said China virus, I mean, he got a great reaction in the audience, but he knew exactly how the liberal heads on these media networks said, will Trump be unified? Will he unify us as a nation? China virus. No! It's like, what's wrong with that?
China.
Love it. So we're going to break it all down. We're going to figure out where the folks are on it. I know you've been doing that all day today, but it's a wonderful day to be American. I mean, I'll tell you what. And given the new information, drips and drabs that we're getting about the assassination attempt, and then the new information we're getting about who's going to be the presidential candidate Trump's running against.
Do you hear that? The latest?
Oh man. Poor Joe. Well, no, I don't know if I've heard the latest or not. Is there latest?
Well, the latest is essentially what we discussed yesterday. That Kamala Harris, Bashir, Harris, Shapiro, maybe Whitmer, maybe Newsom.
Hard to get around Newsom because I don't know who has to move there because they've got to have those electoral votes. And they're both from California. But, I think you cannot escape Harris.
They're saying that Biden is going to step down, hopefully endorse an open convention, but he won't endorse Kamala. That was the latest reporting I heard, which is hilarious and also plays to the reports that Dr. Jill and Kamala hate each other. Does anybody get along on the left?
It doesn't seem so. The right, for once, the conservatives are on Kumbaya, baby, on the same page. We're singing from the same hymnal. Come on.
I love it. I love it too.
Right.
Murphy's up next. He's got hot takes coming in. It's 12 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's high noon. I'm John Michael with your top stories. Mostly cloudy and 83 degrees in the Music City. A massive IT failure sent computers at many businesses into chaos this morning. The glitch is tied to the cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike. Here's Mike Dubusky with what the company is saying.
In a post on Reddit, CrowdStrike says it's investigating the cause of widespread issues on Windows devices. Those computers are caught in a boot loop in which the computer starts up but never logs in. It's related to a software update CrowdStrike recently sent out. As a workaround, CrowdStrike recommends starting your computer in safe mode, which can be done by holding down the shift key, pressing the power button, and then selecting restart. It then instructs users to delete the update file.
The systems are slowly coming back to full power. 23 is now the number of prominent Democrats calling for Biden to drop out of the presidential race. Here's Rick Klein on what may happen if he does.
No one's actually nominated until that roll call vote, and delegates are what determines who the nominee is. There were more than 4,600 of them on the Democratic side. All of them were actually selected already, and almost all of them are now pledged to Joe Biden, not to Kamala Harris or to anybody else. Even if Biden were to drop out and endorse Harris or someone else, there's no telling what they could do. They'd be free to vote however they wanted. Contested conventions used to happen a lot, but the last time we saw more than one ballot was in 1952.
Several news outlets are reporting that he'll drop out this weekend, but the White House says Biden is itching to get back on the campaign trail. A Middle Tennessee district attorney confirmed disturbing details out of Humboldt, Tennessee, concerning two juveniles. A home security video shows a 12-year-old girl use bedding to suffocate her 8-year-old cousin. District Attorney General Frederick H. Agee says the two were sharing a bunk bed while visiting family. The video then shows the 12-year-old girl clean up the victim, reposition her body. The DA confirms the victim is from the Middle Tennessee area and the suspect is from out of state. The juvenile is now facing first-degree murder charges. A man is facing charges for an alleged carjacking at an auto shop Thursday morning. Metro Police say it happened at Lucky's Custom Wheels and Tires on Lafayette Street. According to police, 27-year-old Cedric Taylor is accused of approaching a woman sitting in a car, then punching her while demanding money. Authorities say the suspect pulled the woman from her Kia as she ran into business for help before Taylor could put the car in drive. The owner of the business ran to the Kia, broke the driver's side window with the victim's permission, forced Taylor out through the passenger side. All of this according to police. The business owner and other witnesses detained Taylor until officers arrived on the scene. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.